Well, hello everybody and welcome back. Hopefully the wind's not too bad in the mic today. I'm going to try and block it as best I can, but it doesn't really seem like kind of a voiceover day. It is a beautiful Sunday here. It is, atypically windy. I really had no idea Manitoba had this much wind, but I have got to get my hands on a couple of wind turbines. I'm sure it could dramatically reduce my hydro bill. However, that is a conversation for a different channel. Anyway, today we are out looking at the yard and gardens. I've got some fun stuff going on that I want to show you. Hopefully I remember it all, so let's get going before the wind kicks up and forgetful kicks in. All right. I think one of the things I'm most excited to share this week is probably the pumpkin patch here, because looky, we do have something that looks like it might be taken. Hopefully we'll have enough time for that to actually come to maturity, get orange for us. These are supposed to be like 17-pound pumpkins. They're also supposed to mature in something like 67 days, so that's an interesting sort of combination. We've got a couple other little, we'll say pumpkin starts, but it's touch and go. It's really hard to get some of these things on camera. Hopefully you can see that one in there. Crinkling of the leaves, probably ridiculous on the mic. Looking back and kind of panning out at the rest of the corn patch, the sister's garden really. Very intermittent growth on the corn, but we're starting to get a lot more ears that are forming. And I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is take some of these smaller ones and I'm going to clip them off because their tassels are exploding with pollen, and I'm going to use them to kind of paintbrush some of the larger ones that have ears, so that we can get, well, something out of their growth and the time that they've spent with us, because that would be good. See if I can find some of the ones that are getting a bit of a tassel here. Can I get that? Whoops. See if I can get that on the camera. There's a nice look at it. And just up over here, see a couple more. We look in a bit, and hopefully again the camera will be actually focused on them. We can see a couple that look like they might actually be pretty close to ready, which is kind of surprising. But again, this is supposed to be a quick maturing crop, so is it surprising or is it actually behaving? I guess in my world that would be kind of surprising too. Here we've got some of those volunteer tomatoes. I'm still convinced these are the broad ripple yellow currant tomatoes from Rob Bob. Surprisingly happy to volunteer here in Manitoba, but I love how crisp and sharp these little leaves are on these tomato plants. So I'm thrilled to have them just kind of growing wherever they please, and they really are, because there's some here. If we go to the end of the corn patch, oh, sorry about the wind, we've got another one kicking in here, and volunteer foods, really the best kind. You can't ask for anything more. Another look at a few of the random corn cobs that are forming in here. Some of these things are not very big, but I really wasn't expecting a massive cob of corn from something that's supposed to be this quick. Now, here's a good example of my question. When they get all brown like this, is that done? Like, should I be picking this guy? Feels really little, and there's a lot, well, there's a decent percentage that's still got this lighter color to it, so I just don't know. I haven't had a lot of luck with corn in the past, so I don't have a lot of experience with it, Over here, something else I don't have a lot of experience with is runner beans, but was noticing we've got some monsters on here, so that's going to be fun. And this is a broad bean, so it's my understanding I need to let one of these larger pods completely mature and basically dry and die on the plant, and then those beans will be good to plant next year. I'd love some feedback from more experienced growers, but Shocks and I have been talking about it, and I think we're going to do these on a TP system out front next year, because we've seen so much hummingbird activity on them. It just kind of makes sense to put them in the fairy garden with the hummingbird feeders and just kind of all that fun garden stuff. But I am really impressed by the size of these things and how many of them are just showing up. That is delightful. also from the world of wonderful and delightful would be these bunker peppers. They are producing a good number of pods, and a couple of them are starting to show a little bit of color. But what really, whoops, whacking the tripod. What really interests me about this is that they are no longer the first place most productive plants. We'll wander off into the pepper patch and I'll show you, hopefully I'll be able to show you some really nice productive examples. These Caribbean Reds, not doing so great. Was really hoping for more out of here. But really, they're kind of on par, because in general the lemon habaneros have been growing much better for me than the Caribbean Reds. But the Caribbean Reds, I have gotten 5 ripe peppers out of there, and only 2 so far from the lemon habaneros. Quick look at the tomato with the parsley growing at it here. It's a volunteer variety of tomato. Don't know for sure what it's going to be. These flowers say to me though that it's going to be a larger variety if it gets a chance to produce. But look at this parsley. You may remember the parsley transplant from the aeroponics or aquaponics in the basement. This is that little tiny planting and the volunteer tomato that came up in it. So that is really exciting. Really enjoy letting these volunteers grow. I'm going to cut for a second. Hopefully the wind will die down and we can take a look at the lemon habs. So over in the pepper patch, looking at the lemon habanero chunk, here is an excellent example of one of the champion pepper producers. Lots of nice sizable pods on here. Like, that one's a monster. No color on that yet, but definitely producing. Looking over at the side here, we can see quite a few more. This plant is just loaded, so I'm really hoping we're going to have time for it to ripen up. Look beside it here. This one, trying to get the camera in there. Hopefully you can see all those pods. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see like a dozen pods at least. So it should be a good year for the lemon habaneros at least. Got a few forming here. Here's a good Caribbean Red example. These guys I'm fairly certain will ripen up before those yellows or those lemons I just showed you. And then forward in the patch, got some of the hotter, freakier peppers. This one here is supposed to be a Buhuchalokia chocolate habanero. Still one of my favorite pepper plants for that purple coloration. I'm just weak for purple plants. In front of it here we've got one of the Naga Vipers that Punky sent me. Getting some flowers forming on here, but I don't think we're going to get any fruit out of this, unfortunately. So I may try a cloning project, see if I can bring that in. And I have had a wonderful bit of success. Here is another Naga Viper with a recent cloning project that I look forward to sharing with the next Bear's Den update. So got a couple of those orange habanero plants. Too little too late, I think, on these guys, but if you look in, you see a little pepper in there. Just barely. Looking back, we got the Trinidad Scorpion Butch T Reds. These plants have grown beautifully, but I'm not seeing any pods on there, unfortunately. We do have another one of these upstairs, so I'm not too worried about it for the collection, but it would have been really nice if these big beautiful plants had been able to produce for me. Definitely my nicest looking pepper patch since we've moved to Manitoba. And honestly, I thank the AeroGarden for that, because everything I started downstairs, all these little tiny runty stunty plants, didn't make it. But almost everything that I started in the AeroGarden is a nice, big, happy, productive plant. Ooh, looking at the back there, we've got those clearance potatoes. Now, Shocks and I were noticing doing a walkabout this morning. These $1 bag of clearance seed potatoes, starting to get some flowers forming. Not open yet by any means. But the race is on, because we are getting colder nights. So I guess that's another question for the overall audience. Does anybody know how long it takes from when the flowers start to form to when you can safely harvest your potatoes? And what do you think up here in Canadian prairies? Am I going to have time to pull that off? It's been a fun and interesting year though. Look at this, Indigo Rose. Beautiful tomato. Putting on lots of fruit for us. But because they have to ripen on the plant, I don't really think we're going to get too many of them. Those ones by the doorway and the range storage have actually ripened up. So I guess we'll finish off today with a quick look at those. So hanging out over here by the red currant bush, look how vibrant those remaining berries look. We have the volunteer indigo rose. I can see one here that has split from the rain we had the other day. That's unfortunate, but that means these ones here are definitely ready to take in. So break that off. And that, let's move into the sun. Come on, work with me. That is what your indigo rose tomatoes should look like when you take them off the plant and not before. These are going to be fantastic with dinner tonight. Ooh, very exciting, very exciting. Yeah, I guess that is where we're going to wrap it up today. I want to thank you all so much for sticking around with me. Even though I've got these wind and mic issues, I really appreciate your patience as I try and work these things out. And I really appreciate all your feedback and your positive comments on how the garden is coming along. So I hope your garden is doing fantastic. If you don't have a garden, I hope you get one started soon. And yeah, I will see you next time, probably midweek. We got a bear stand update to do because I found my pepper seeds, I found the roulette wheel, and I need to get started on the winter pepper selection. So that's 3 good reasons that we should probably have a bear stand update this week. So yeah, stick around if you're interested in that. Don't forget to hit that notification button because you never know when I'm going to go live testing something. And at this rate, who knows how many peppers I'm actually going to get ripe to test within the season. So if you want to see those taste tests, you're going to want to hit that bell. All right, take care everybody, much love, and I will see you next time.